Hello, Chick Chatters. So today we have another story of the week for y'all. And this one is from Reddit. It is Am I the Asshole? And it was posted a year ago and it does have an update. So it says, Am I the asshole for walking out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage? It says, I, 30, don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one, she tried to make remarks and compare me to her. She then tried to get on my good side and started overly praising everything I do, and sometimes even copying me. Like that one time when she literally dyed her hair purple just like mine, and when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she actually blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So, anyways, my husband and I took 2 weeks off of work to go visit some places out of the country, tourism, in other words. Thing is, I was the one who saved up for it, arranged the trip, in parentheses. My husband was responsible for booking the tickets. My husband's mom wanted to come along and threw temper tantrums when I said no. She called, texted, sent people to talk to me into letting her come, even threatened to call the police and make some complaint up to get us to stay if she can't come. My husband said we should just take her, but I told him he was wrong to even tell her about the trip in the first place. He gave me an ultimatum. He said he wouldn't go if she can't come, and I told him I'd gladly call his bluff, which made him take his words back and say, Fine, I will tell her to stop it because we won't take her. Things got quieter, suspiciously quieter. The day of the trip came, and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was walking ahead of me and was looking left and right like he was looking for somebody. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area, and the first thing I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave washing over me, and I was fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging, and that's when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me, but I told him off in the harshest way possible. He tried to say I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway and that I should just let it go and not mess up this trip for us. I told him that him and his mom could still go, but that I was going home. I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes. Turned out he booked her ticket without me knowing. An hour later, he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said that I was being too hard on his mom and this is ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore, but he kept on berating me and then called my family to tell them about the trip and that it was canceled and that it was because of me. My family said that I shouldn't have ruined it for myself and that I could have sucked it up and done my best to enjoy. Did I really overreact? Thoughts?
I mean, yes and no. Like, I think there's a world where she could have tried to suck it up and go on this vacation, but based on the perspective and the things that I hear, I mean, she doesn't want to go on a trip with his mom. She said that. It's not like it's a surprise. She didn't just show up to the airport and the mom is there and all of a sudden doesn't want that to happen. Like, he gave her an ultimatum about this. This has been a conversation for a long time. So it's not a surprise that she doesn't want to go. I don't know. Maybe his attempt in this whole thing was to try to get them together, to try to make them like each other more. But I don't think that, like, there's a time and a place. First of all, vacation is not the time and place to mend your bridges with your mother-in-law. And also, it's like, especially when it's sprung on you in a surprise, like, that's something, if they have a history of not liking each other and not getting along, then the wife needs to be in a place where she's ready, one, to have a conversation with the mother-in-law, which obviously she's not, and two, to hear whatever the mother-in-law has to say to her as well. So yeah, it just wasn't the time and place. I don't blame her for leaving. I Was that an overreaction? Maybe people could probably say that and be justified, but I don't blame her for leaving.
Yeah, I get that it was maybe seen as a waste of money, but she had already said she didn't want to go on a trip with her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law makes her uncomfortable, and it seems like a trip where you're going out of the country is more of a romantic trip anyways. It seems like why not just go just you and her, work on your marriage,
Yeah.
and I mean, keep it at that. Obviously, she needs the attention with you. Why do you want to bring your mom? I wouldn't want to bring my mom
You
on a
want to
trip
go on
with just
vacation with your mom, then go on vacation with your mom. But
and your family. Why does it have to be just you, your wife, and your mom? Like
yeah,
that seems really strange.
don't force it on your vacation with your wife if that's not something that everybody all gets along. Like I could see my mom definitely crashing a vacation with me and Tyler, but my mom and Tyler get along better than me and Tyler get along. So that
Right.
would be a fun time for everybody. But this sounds miserable, and who cares about the money? Why would you want to waste a bunch of money on a miserable vacation anyways? So
Well, when you
they,
go on a vacation like this and you pay for it and it's like so expensive, you envision it to go a certain way. Even if it's just you and your husband,
yeah,
you envision it just you and your husband and how fun it's going to be just you and him. And then to go to the airport and see this woman that you don't have a great relationship with, and you had already told no several times. There are other vacations you can go on with this person. I don't see why it has to be these out of the country expensive trips that you want to be about you and him, and if you go with her might become more about her.
yeah,
And I don't know, if the question is if she's the asshole for leaving, I don't think so. I think I would have left if I felt people weren't respecting the boundaries that I put up, especially when I put them up so early on. If people really think they're just going to pull the wool over on me by just doing it anyways, then not. No, I don't have to go and subject myself to this nonsense. I'll go on a different trip alone. I'll.
right,
I really don't think that rewarding bad behavior gets you good results. This is just going to keep happening. The mom's always
yeah.
going to get the upper hand at that point. So
And this
either
is just one example that was given to us, but it seems like the mom is a little bit maybe manipulative, anyways, because the mom said she was going to call the police if she wasn't allowed to go and make up something. That's like a felony, isn't it? I mean, that's definitely illegal. So that
yeah.
is one red flag for me right away. What do you mean you're going to call the police because somebody disagreed with you? Like that's just really, that's not okay to do. And then to show up when you know that you're not welcome with your bags
Right.
packed ready to go on vacation is red flag and manipulation number two. I just, it's a waste of money at that point either way, whether you go on vacation or you don't go, because it's going to be a miserable time.
And this doesn't just become a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law problem. It really becomes a mother-son problem, marriage problem, because he isn't setting boundaries between his marriage and his relationship with his mom. You have to set different boundaries, and sometimes distance between the two for a little while is a good thing. It doesn't mean that that relationship couldn't improve, but this is not the way to go about it, is to just force feed it down
Yeah,
either of their throats. I don't think this is good for either woman. I don't think it's good to always give your mom her way just because she's your mom, and I don't think it's good to kind of neglect what your wife is telling you and not set up boundaries for your marriage, because you chose this woman for a reason, and it's probably because she's not like your mom. I think that it's partially up to this husband to set up his boundaries with his mom. And
I agree. I think if we're going to label an asshole here, yes, the mom is kind of the obvious asshole, but I do really think that it's the husband, because once you're married, you make a commitment to that person to be your family. And
right.
that is supposed to, I know that's a difficult position to be caught between your wife and your mom, but ultimately, when you're married, your family is your wife, and whatever you grow with them. So I think he's really the asshole here if we have to label somebody, because not only is he indulging his mom in some weird way and letting her have all this control over his life, but he's also not putting his wife first and what her obvious stated needs are. So I'm
Mhm.
I'm all for her leaving. I'm all for her making a point. he wanted to go as far as to give an ultimatum about this, which, that might mean that this is important to him in some way, but he needs to find a way to explain that to her better, or, she's going to continue to say no. And I don't know. It's
Well, if you're willing to give an ultimatum over a vacation just to include your mom, I think there is a different issue too going on there. Like, I mean,
what I
there's some
mean.
things that you should lay your life down for, and that's just not one of them in a marriage. It's just not. Especially if it's a planned out trip and she doesn't know it's going to happen. It'd be one thing if it's planned out in advance and you're like, yeah, we're going with his mom. That's
Yeah.
that's fine. But like she had no idea. So she's walking to this airport thinking she's getting a totally different trip, and then she gets the worst possible outcome. Yes, she's walking out. I don't
Yeah.
see the other option here. Go on this trip and be miserable so you can fight about it later. Either way, it's a fight. So might as well fight from home instead of awkwardly in a different country where you're just going to spend even more money. Because maybe
Yeah.
you can get your reservations back. Maybe you can get some kind of deposits back on other things. You won't have to pay for these activities. I mean, yeah, you're losing a flight, but maybe there's also a way to get credit for it. Maybe you have insurance on it. I don't know, but
Right. Something.
there's options.
If I had to go on that vacation, I know that he would be paying for a whole lot of alcohol while I was there if I had to tolerate his mother. So he at least saved that money.
Yeah. So this says the top comment with 9,000 upvotes says, definitely not the asshole. You know that if you had sucked it up and gone with him, the entire vacation would be about catering to his mom. Whatever she wanted to do, whatever places she wanted to go, whatever places she wanted to eat, you'd be a third wheel on your own vacation. And I gotta agree with that. That's if his mom is that
Facts.
strong willed in their marriage and their trips, I can't see how she would not have very strong opinions about what they're doing.
Yeah.
So,
Top comment is a good one.
and OP said in response, the original poster, you are absolutely correct. This is exactly how I felt when I saw her standing there. The original poster does do an update. She says, I don't know where to begin. It's been an absolute nightmare recently, and I feel like I was losing my sanity. So, for more details about my situation, I have to admit that my husband's mom favors him over all of his siblings. This affected his relationship with them and me as well. He's never seen an issue with how differently his mom treats him. It bothered me. It made me feel uncomfortable. The whole dynamic has made me feel uncomfortable. Going low contact has never been an option. Like he has to see her or call her every day. Most of his siblings don't talk to him, and I 100% believe it's because his mom's favoritism. And like I said, he does bear some of the blame for not seeing how wrong this is, even to this day. In many instances, I found myself making excuses for his behavior. Even in my post, I did it spontaneously, but I don't know why. But I guess it's just because of how much I love him and because I really, really wanted to be able to work this type of thing out without letting them affect our marriage. Regarding what happened with the trip, he tried to have a talk with me, and most of what he said came out of place of blame towards me. I just couldn't continue with this argument. I told him I needed some space and I'd go stay with my sister for a while. He didn't take it well. He literally got up from the couch and opened the door, telling me to go right then. In that moment, and seeing how he was not even anywhere near understanding as to what he had just done, made things perfectly clear to me. I just had pictured years and years of this life being lived, and I was like, no, I can't do this. Can't take any more of it, especially when he stops focusing on being right every time. His mom can do no wrong. I'm always the aggressive, crazy, jealous, pathetic overreactor. All of these people's opinions, advice, concerns were like a spark in me, like the wake up call I really needed. Although I wish that I didn't get this far, but what's done is done. Right now, I'm staying with my sister. I brought my dog with me as well. He sent me his last message telling me that I'm choosing to end what we had together, but I believe it's the other way around, especially with how he keeps making his mom the victim in this situation. It's become clear now that if we keep going in, that we will keep going in circles with no end in reach. And I'm just exhausted and overwhelmed. I'm not mad at him and I didn't expect him to change, but at least if I'm given the option to decide what's best for me in my future, and I'm going to choose separation and divorce. A big thank you to those who reached out and with resources that I feel very, very lucky to have come across. Just wanted to give you guys an update since many of you asked for it.
That is quite the update. Wow. That's a lot of information. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, it's sad that it sounds like their marriage might be ending. Hopefully, if they reconcile, then they can figure something out about the mom. But if that's what has to happen, then that's what has to happen.
If he can't put his family in a different category than his marriage, maybe she's right on the fact that it might just keep going round and round and round, the same problem, same problem. If you're young enough, maybe just end it while you can so you can find somebody better for you. Like, do you want to be.
I mean, either way, I mean, if you're 60, if you're not happy, you're not happy. It's time to
Yeah.
go. Life is too short, even if you have only a few short years to spend it miserably or spend it with a husband who focuses on his mom more than he focuses on you. So yeah, it sounds like what's supposed to happen here is supposed to happen here. She gave a lot of information about her relationship, and I don't feel like I need to comment on all that. I feel like that's an invasion of her privacy. So
It's not a bad thing to side with your mom sometimes, but this is a weird time to be taking your mom's stance over a trip and stuff. Like, just, I don't know. There's
it's probably not the first time that he's railroaded his wife for his mom.
Right. Well, that was the story of the week, chit chatters. So see you next time.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.